our topic is building superstructure. So before that we should know what is meant by building. So building is defined as a structure for any purpose and of whatever material constructed, and its part may or may not be used for human habitations. Then what is meant by superstructure? So before that, generally there are two types of the structures. First one is the substructure and second one is the superstructure. The substructure means the structure which is below the ground level, that is called as the substructure. In this substructure only footing comes in that substructure. Then the second type, superstructure. Superstructure means the structure which is above the ground level, that is called as the superstructure. Means the element in the superstructures are beam, column, slab. These are the elements which are involved in the superstructure. Then next, types of the structure. Generally there are three types of the structure. First one is the load bearing structure, second framed structure, and third is the composite structure. Now this figure shows the load bearing structure. Means this total load, this is a load which is transferred towards the ground direction, or in this type of structure the total load of these sheets which is transferred to this floor, or we can say this load carrying beam. Then this beam transfer the load to the load bearing walls. Means here is no provision of the column. Means whatever may be load comes on the beam, which is directly transferred on the wall, and wall directly transferred to the ground surface. This is a load bearing structure. Now second one structure, that is most important structure. Generally this type of structure is used in nowadays, that is a framed structure. We can say also this is a RCC structure. So figure shows all these three figures. In first, this is second figure, and this one is the third figure. So in this figure, these are the vertical members. This is called as the column, and the horizontal member which is called as the beam. On that beam slab is laid. The total load of the slab which is transferred to the beam, and beam transfer load to the column, column transfer load to the footing. This is a complete structure, that is a framed structure, or we can say this is a RCC structure. Now third one is the composite structure. This is a combination of load bearing and framed structure. In this type of structure, all external walls are the load bearing types, and internal supports are in the form of the column. Roofs and doors are supported by load bearing walls and internal columns. Such structures particularly suitable for the large span. Example, that is we can use in a workshop also. Means external, these are the external walls, these are the load bearing wall, and internal, that is a framed structure. The combination of these two, that is a composite structure. Next, that is a comparison between framed structure and load bearing structure. First, item of comparison, second framed structures, and third one is the load bearing structure. Now first comparison, that is a soil condition. So in framed structure it can be constructed in black cotton, or we can say reclaimed soil in addition to soft soil, and in load bearing structure we cannot construct on a black cotton soil. So it is constructed only hard rock or hard murum, that is a load bearing. This is about subsoil condition. Second, the floor space. Second comparison, that is a floor space. In framed structure, more floor area is available for use because of the thin wall, because the wall thickness in a framed structure is less as compared to the load bearing structure, because generally for external wall we are taking 0.23 as a external wall thickness, and in load bearing structure it is more as compared to the framed structure, because the total load or maximum load, whatever may be the load which comes on the walls. That's why the load bearing structure, the thickness of wall is more as compared to the framed structure. So this is less floor area is available for use because of the thick wall. Then the third item of comparison, that is a number of stories. In framed structure, here is no restriction of height because we can construct any number of story on that footing, because there is no restriction of height for suitable number of stories. Then in frame structure there is some limitations, that is we can construct only up to 2 stories. Then next comparison, that is a dead load. So obviously in a frame structure this is a less dead load because due to the thin wall, and in a load bearing structure it is load is maximum due to the thick wall. Then construction time, it is very important, that is a construction time. So in frame structure the time required is less, or we can't say less, but that is a same activities which are run simultaneously. That's why it required less time as compared to the load bearing structure. But in load bearing structure we cannot start the maximum activity at the same time. That's why time required in load bearing structure is more as compared to the framed structure. Then next is the flexibility. So flexibility in planning. So flexibility in planning, it is a more in a framed structure and it is less in a load bearing structure. And most important point, that is the economy. Economy in framed structures are necessary and economical for multi-storied building, but the load bearing structures are economical up to only 2 stories. Then types of load. Generally there are 3 types of load which act on the structures. First is the dead load, second one is the live load, and third is the wind load. So dead load is defined as force whose magnitude, position, direction remains constant. That is a dead load. The load all permanent parts, the load of the all permanent parts such as walls, roof, slab, that is a dead load. Then the second types of load, that is a live load. These are the superimposed loads, and we can say these are the moving or variable loads due to the people's, occupants, weight of the furniture. That is a live load. For residential purpose, according to the IS 875-1964, for residential building, that is a 2 kilonewton per meter square. For shops, classroom, assembly halls, that is a 4 kilonewton per meter square. And for workshop, factories, it is 5 to 7.5 kilonewton per meter square. And heavy loads, or we can say in factories, it is 10 kilonewton per meter square. And last type, that is a wind load. So wind load is obstructed by a structure. Wind is obstructed by a structure. It exerts a pressure on the structure known as the wind pressure. Wind pressure acts horizontally on the exposed vertical faces of the structure, and it is expected in terms of basic wind pressure P, which is equivalent static pressure in the direction of wind. Basic wind pressure may be obtained by using the equation P is equal to kV square, where P is the wind pressure in kg per meter square, V is the wind velocity in kilometer per hour, and K is the coefficient which depends on wind velocity, air temperature, size and shape of building. Usually K is taken as 0.006.